In 1911, the United States government destroyed the largest monopoly in American history, and the man who built it became 3 times richer. They broke Standard Oil into 34 separate companies, and John D. Rockefeller owned shares in every single piece. But here's what should terrify you. The breakup wasn't the end. The system he invented spread to every industry. Jeff Bezos uses it. The Google founders use it. Big Pharma uses it. Every corporation dominating your life today copied Rockefeller's exact playbook. You cannot escape it because the system isn't Standard Oil, the system is the method. And I'm going to show you exactly how it works. In 1870, a bookkeeper in Cleveland controlled 4% of American oil refining. 10 years later, he controlled 90%. By 1904, his control reached 91% of production and 85% of sales. And in the process, he created something that never died. His name was John D. Rockefeller, and what he built wasn't just a company. Standard Oil was broken up in 1911, but the methods survived. The structures survived, the playbook survived, and spread to every dominant corporation that exists today. That same playbook still runs the largest corporations on earth: oil, tech, retail, and medicine. Every gasoline purchase you make, every Amazon order, every prescription filled, every bank loan taken, they all flow through systems Rockefeller designed between 1863 and 1911. This matters because the system isn't optional. You cannot opt out of buying gasoline from Standard Oil's descendants. You cannot avoid Amazon's logistics network. You cannot escape pharmaceutical companies shaped by Rockefeller's medical foundations. The architecture is embedded in corporate law, tax code, and regulatory frameworks. Let me show you how Rockefeller built this machine, how it concentrates wealth by eliminating competition, and why 114 years after Standard Oil's breakup, you still live inside the world he engineered. John Davidson Rockefeller was born in 1839 in upstate New York. His father sold fake medicine. His mother was a strict Baptist. One parent taught ruthlessness, the other taught moral certainty about God's plan. Rockefeller combined both. He would crush competitors while believing he was organizing industry for mankind's benefit. In 1859, oil was discovered in Pennsylvania, which triggered a rush. Thousands of speculators flooded in to drill. Prices swung wildly. Overproduction collapsed them. Shortages spiked them back up. Fortunes appeared overnight and vanished just as fast. Rockefeller was 20, working as a bookkeeper in Cleveland. He saw the chaos and recognized something others missed. Drilling was gambling. You might strike oil, or you might drill dry holes, but refining was different. Every barrel drilled needed to be refined into kerosene for lamps. That was the choke point. In 1863, Rockefeller put $4,000 into his first refinery. Within 2 years, it was the largest in Cleveland. But Cleveland had 30 refineries, all competing on price, all operating on thin margins, most barely surviving. This is where Rockefeller's method emerged. He didn't compete on price. He eliminated competition by making it impossible for others to survive, and he did this through vertical integration. Here's how vertical integration works. Most refineries bought crude oil from drillers, refined it into kerosene, then sold kerosene to distributors. They controlled one step in the chain and paid someone else at every other step. Rockefeller decided to control every step himself. He bought barrel-making factories, which meant he stopped buying barrels from suppliers. He bought tank cars and negotiated with railroads to ship his oil. He bought warehouses to store it. He bought distribution networks to sell directly to stores. Every step that used to generate profit for someone else, Rockefeller brought inside his operation. This gave him cost advantages competitors couldn't match. When competitors paid outside suppliers 25 cents per barrel, Rockefeller made his own for 15 cents. When competitors paid railroads standard shipping rates, Rockefeller owned the tank cars and negotiated secret rebates. The railroads actually paid him to ship his oil while charging competitors more. This created a cost gap competitors couldn't close. Rockefeller could sell kerosene at prices that destroyed his rivals while still making profit. And that's what he did. By 1870, he formalized this into Standard Oil Company of Ohio. His operation had grown from one refinery to the largest refining complex in America, but he still only controlled 4% of national capacity. That wasn't enough, so Rockefeller moved to the second phase, horizontal integration. Horizontal integration means buying every competitor until you control the entire market. In 1872, Rockefeller executed what became known as the Cleveland Massacre. Over 3 months, he approached every refinery owner in the city with an offer: sell to me or be destroyed. He would show them his books, prove they couldn't compete, and offer them a lifeline. It wasn't a negotiation, it was a surrender. If they refused, he launched a price war. He dropped kerosene prices below cost. His vertical integration meant he could afford losses longer than anyone else. Competitors watched their businesses bleed money every day until they had two choices: sell or go bankrupt. Most sold, a few tried to fight, all of them lost. By the end of 1872, Rockefeller controlled 25 of Cleveland's 26 refineries. He went from 4% of American refining to 25% in 3 months. This became the pattern. Make an offer. If rejected, destroy them economically, then buy the wreckage. This method would repeat in every industry for the next 150 years. Rockefeller didn't stop with Cleveland. Through the 1870s, he expanded across America: New York, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Same tactics everywhere. Secret railroad rebates made his shipping cheaper. Vertical integration made his production cheaper. Price wars destroyed anyone who refused to sell. By 1879, Standard Oil controlled 90% of American refining capacity. This wasn't a business anymore. This was a monopoly. Rockefeller knew monopolies had two problems. They were illegal, and people hated them. Public anger was growing, so he needed a workaround. In 1882, his lawyers created the Standard Oil Trust. Standard Oil of Ohio couldn't legally own companies in other states, but a trust could. So Rockefeller set up a trust that held stock in all his companies. 41 people, all from his inner circle, controlled it. The trust controlled everything. This was the first major corporate trust in U.S. history, and others quickly copied it. Sugar, tobacco, steel, entire industries followed the same model. The trust solved the legal issue by letting Rockefeller control companies nationwide while staying within the law. More importantly, it created a new idea: a holding company that didn't make products. It owned the companies that did. That structure became the modern corporation. Berkshire Hathaway, Alphabet, Meta, Amazon, all worked the same way. Different names, same design. By 1904, Standard Oil controlled over 90% of oil refining and most sales. Rockefeller was worth $900 million, about $25 billion today. At his peak, his wealth reached roughly $400 billion, more than Bezos, Musk, and Gates combined. Public anger was rising. Rockefeller's enormous wealth and success made him a target of muckraking journalists, reform politicians, and others who viewed him as a symbol of corporate greed and criticized the methods with which he'd built his empire. In 1890, Congress passed the Sherman Antitrust Act. In 1906, journalist Ida Tarbell exposed Standard Oil's secret deals and crushed rivals. In 1911, the Supreme Court ruled Standard Oil illegal and ordered it split into 34 companies. This should have ended Rockefeller's empire. Instead, it made him richer. Rockefeller kept shares in all 34 companies. Some became Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, Amoco, and BP. Before the breakup, Standard Oil stock traded around $600. Afterward, the combined value of the pieces rose past $2,000. His wealth tripled. Over time, those companies quietly merged back together. Exxon and Mobil reunited. Chevron absorbed others. BP bought Amoco. The monopoly broke apart to satisfy regulators, then slowly put itself back together once the attention faded. But Rockefeller knew that ruthlessness makes you enemies, and enemies bring regulation. To survive, he didn't just need to change the market, he needed to change his image. In 1913, Rockefeller created the Rockefeller Foundation, giving $250 million. That's over $7 billion today. It funded medicine, education, and public health. On the surface, it looked like charity, but it did much more. The foundation helped Rockefeller avoid estate taxes and decide which schools received funding. That meant influence over what was taught and what research mattered. It also cleaned up his image. The man who crushed competitors became a respected philanthropist. The foundation shaped modern medical education by funding major schools like Johns Hopkins and the University of Chicago. It pushed medicine toward drug-based treatment, a shift that later benefited large pharmaceutical companies tied to Standard Oil's chemical business. Today, almost every billionaire follows this model. Bill Gates runs the Gates Foundation. Mark Zuckerberg created the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. Warren Buffett pledged most of his wealth to Gates' foundation. This isn't just charity, it's tax savings, reputation control, and influence over policy. Rockefeller built the model. Modern billionaires perfected it. The Rockefeller family still exists, still influential. David Rockefeller, John D's grandson, died in 2017 at age 101. He chaired Chase Manhattan Bank, founded the Trilateral Commission, remained one of the most powerful figures in global finance for 50 years. The family's wealth, estimated at $11 billion, spreads across hundreds of trusts and foundations. The Rockefeller Brothers Fund, the Rockefeller Family Fund, the David Rockefeller Fund. They still shape policy, fund research, influence politics 150 years after John D. started Standard Oil. The system isn't designed to be escaped. It's designed to be invisible until you're already trapped. Standard Oil coming back together isn't Rockefeller's real legacy. The real legacy is the method, and it's spread everywhere. Amazon uses the same playbook. It began as a bookstore. Today it owns warehouses, shipping, delivery, payments, and AWS, the cloud system even its rivals rely on. AWS alone makes around $98 billion a year. Rockefeller controlled refineries, railroads, and distribution. Amazon controls retail, logistics, and the cloud. Different industries, same strategy. Amazon also removes rivals the same way Rockefeller did. It buys competitors like Whole Foods, Twitch, and MGM, or copies successful products and pushes its own versions first. This is Rockefeller's price war updated for the digital age. Legal, barely regulated, and extremely effective. Google follows the same structure Rockefeller invented. Alphabet is a holding company that owns Google, YouTube, and dozens of other businesses under one parent. That structure protects the top company, reduces taxes, and makes breaking it up far more complicated. It's exactly like the Standard Oil Trust. Drug companies use the same rule-writing strategy. Rockefeller shaped regulations to favor his business. Today, pharmaceutical companies fund regulators, lobby for longer patents, and influence the laws meant to control them. Control the rules, and you control the market. Banks copied the model too. J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citi, and Wells Fargo are all holding companies. After 2008, regulators struggled with the same question Rockefeller solved in 1882. Do you regulate the parent or the parts? This is where the system becomes personal. You need gas, so your money flows through a small group of oil giants using the same consolidated structure. You buy products, and your spending moves through platforms that own the warehouses, shipping, and delivery. You search online, and one company controls most of the traffic, calling it free, while you pay with data instead of cash. You use social media, but you're really choosing between apps owned by the same parent company. You need healthcare, and every dollar passes through corporate layers built to serve large institutions first. Every step sends money upward. The choices feel real, but they aren't. Over time, everyday living expenses, fuel, shopping, healthcare, communication, become a steady transfer of wealth into the same small group of dominant corporations, all using the same Rockefeller playbook. You live inside the system every day. You pay into it every day, and most people never even see it. Here's what Rockefeller understood that most people miss. The system isn't evil, it's efficient. Vertical integration cuts costs. Consolidation removes overlap. Friendly regulation keeps markets stable. Foundations fund real research. The system works. It delivers products cheaper, faster, more reliably than chaotic markets. Standard Oil made kerosene affordable. Before Standard Oil, kerosene cost 58 cents per gallon. After Rockefeller's efficiencies, 8 cents, an 86% reduction. That's not exploitation, that's efficiency. Amazon delivers in 2 days. Google answers questions in seconds. ExxonMobil produces gasoline at scale. Pfizer develops life-saving drugs. The system delivers value. The problem isn't that it doesn't work. The problem is that it concentrates wealth at the top while delivering efficiency at the bottom. You get cheap gasoline, fast shipping, instant information, effective medicine. Rockefeller's heirs get trillions in accumulated wealth. Both are true simultaneously. So what do you do in a system you can't escape? You have 3 choices. First, accept it. Big companies and monopolies aren't accidents. They're part of how the system works. Use the benefits, buy from Amazon, use Google, accept wealth concentration as the cost of convenience. Second, resist it. Support antitrust laws. Buy from small businesses, even if it costs more. Use weaker alternatives on purpose. Vote for leaders who want to break up big corporations. Trade efficiency for more competition. Third, understand it and position yourself. If you can't escape the system, benefit from it. Own shares in the companies that dominate. Exxon, Amazon, Google, Pfizer, J.P. Morgan. If wealth flows upward, own the places it flows to. That's what Rockefeller did. He owned Standard Oil while everyone else bought its products. You can't do it at his scale, but you can follow the same logic. Own the system instead of being drained by it. This isn't investment advice, it's pattern recognition. This system has concentrated wealth for 150 years, and it's built into the rules that run the economy. Fighting it is noble but tiring. Escaping it is impossible. Understanding it and acting accordingly is the practical choice. John D. Rockefeller died in 1937, but the system he built never did. He lived long enough to see Standard Oil broken apart, quietly reconnect through its successors, and spread its methods across nearly every major industry. What he created outlived him, and still shapes the world you live in. The system is simple: control every step, eliminate competitors, shape the rules, and use philanthropy to gain influence. Rockefeller believed competition was wasteful. Consolidation, in his view, meant efficiency, stability, and lower prices, and that belief became the foundation of the modern economy. Today, a few giants dominate every industry using the same playbook. Amazon dominates retail, Google controls search, Meta controls social media, Exxon, Chevron, and BP dominate oil, Pfizer, Merck, and Johnson & Johnson shape pharmaceuticals, JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Citi dominate banking. You may not escape the system, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. If this helped you understand how today's economy was engineered, subscribe. The pattern repeats, and you'll want to see what comes next.